Hi guys, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Tiana here, of course. So for today's video, I'm going to be testing out the Lorac Pro Soft Focus Foundation. This came out a few months ago and I had my eye on it and I decided to pick it up, as you guys saw in my most recent haul. So if you guys want to see what I think about this foundation, then please keep watching. I did not get the concealer that went with this because I have so many concealers. And as you guys saw last week, I just got the ColourPop concealer again, and I just have so many concealers. So I just got the foundation for this, and as I was saying in my haul video, this does not even look like a foundation. Like, look at this packaging. It does not look like a foundation at all. Like, it just looks like a concealer. It's so skinny, so slim. But this is, I'll have the pricing and details on the screen. This was a tad bit pricier than what I expected for the packaging. We'll see how it works. So I got the shade 22 Dark, and it looks like it'll be a pretty good match for me. So let's go ahead and prime our face. So I'm going to be going in with the Maybelline Master Prime just to kind of tone down some of my oils today. So that looks a little bit better. So I'm going to give the foundation a shake, and I'm just going to squeeze it onto my face. Ooh, that is really runny. You guys see that? Wow. I have not had a foundation this runny in a while. Like, oh my gosh. I was not expecting that out of this. So because it kind of ran all down on the side, I'm just kind of like wiping the rest of it. I'm probably going to need a little bit more than this. I don't know if this is full coverage. There's nothing on the packaging, and I think I threw the box away. It might be a tad bit off for my summer complexion, but it does match pretty well in the lighter areas of my face. It's not looking like it's full coverage just from blending out this one side, but because it's so thin, like it literally is super thin and liquidy, as you guys saw, it's probably buildable. I cannot even tell you the last time I tried out something by Lorac. I used to be such a big fan of their palettes, which you guys are going to see in an upcoming video, but I was such a big fan of their palettes, and I never really used any of their complexion products. Like, I just always tried their palettes, and I used to use their Front of the Line Pro. That used to be one of my favorite liquid eyeliners. But other than that, I never really tried out any of their other products because they just always used to be so good at eyeshadows. I'm kind of bringing it down on my neck, what's left of it, because I feel like there's really nothing left. I would give this medium coverage. It doesn't look full coverage, but I'm going to go in with a little bit more because it was so lightweight and runny. Like, when I know a foundation is full coverage, my mole right here, if you guys can see it, it's very like light coming through the monitor, but my mole is usually all the way covered, and I'm looking in the mirror right now and I can see my mole like pretty clearly. So that's how I know it's more of a medium coverage foundation. I also would say that it's definitely not matte. Like, you guys can see that I'm still looking pretty healthy. So I'm gonna have to look up the claims of this foundation once I get done applying it. I'm gonna squeeze some onto my brush this time and then just put it onto my cheek area. I really like the way this applies. Like, even though it's night and day as far as consistency and as far as texture to the Milani Screen Queen foundation, which I tested out in my first Foundation Fridays, I really think that it is pretty similar to that as far as wear, because this foundation feels very lightweight on the skin. Like, it doesn't even look like I'm wearing foundation. Almost like I just look like an oily person. Like I always look oily. It feels really good, and I don't have to use a whole lot, which the packaging was very deceiving to me because I was like, what is this? Like, this looks like a concealer. It's not going to last long at all, especially most of the time when thick foundations, they squeeze out a lot and you seem like you have to use a little bit more. But I don't know, usually with thinner or more runny foundations, you have to use a little bit more, but a little actually goes a long way with this foundation. Like, this is looking pretty good on the skin, like, if I do say so myself. I googled the Lorac Pro Soft Focus Foundation. So I'm going to look at the details. So the key benefits is it's a medium to full coverage and it's buildable. So that makes sense as why it's so kind of like runny. It's refreshing feel with soft focus finish, long wear performance with a silk-like texture, lightweight feel with buildable coverage, spherical powders deliver excellent slip and keep skin shine free. Shine free? I don't know, sis. It's water resistant. Okay, that's a first that I've seen for foundation in a while. Suitable for all skin types. And it has some key ingredients in here that I think are worth mentioning. So it has vitamin C and sodium hyaluronate to help preserve skin's elasticity, infused with a complex of watermelon, apple, and lentil fruit extracts to help reduce appearance of fine lines and increase skin's hydration. It's oil-free, fragrance-free, and it's vegan. It has like a very, very small scent to it, but I would say for the most part, it is kind of fragrance-free. So reading that definitely provided some insight into what I was seeing. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't read that beforehand almost, because I was kind of like pretty much saying what it was. The only thing that I'm kind of iffy on is the shine free, because as you guys can see, I don't even have anything else on this, which I think if a foundation is claiming to be shine free, then it should be shine free without me having to apply powder or, you know, a setting powder, concealer, and all of that. I didn't put on a hydrating primer. You guys saw my bare skin before I put the primer on. Yeah, I'm not seeing the shine free. So that's the only thing I would say I don't necessarily agree with, but everything else definitely makes sense. And I love the fact that it is cruelty free and vegan, and it had like all those extracts and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Like, I don't see that in most foundations. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of my face, and then I'm gonna be back with my final thought. I'm going to use some setting powder now to set my under eye area. But as you can see, now that I've applied the concealer, still pretty much looking the same. I used the L'Oreal Full Wear Concealer, and it's not really a hydrating concealer, but looking pretty oily. So definitely still not seeing that shine free. Of course, after I use my setting powder and my all over face powder, I'm sure it will look a little bit more matte, but as far as shine free with the foundation on its own, or even with concealer, I definitely can't really back those claims. Okay guys, so that pretty much wraps up the demo portion of this video. I have to say that I'm actually really liking this Lorac Pro Soft Focus foundation. I mean, of course, after I've said it, now I'm looking at myself and it pretty much doesn't even look like it was oily at all. Like, you don't see that at all. So, you know, sometimes when foundations, concealers, complexion products say that they're matte finish or shine free finish, whatever, I don't know if they mean like the finished product or if they mean their product on its own, because I was pretty shiny pretty luminous looking a few minutes ago before I finished off my face, and now of course you can't see that since I've used setting powder and a pressed powder, and now it does look like the claims. I think that everything pretty much turned out really well. It's kind of got me curious about the concealer a little bit, because this does say that it's soft focus, and I will say that it kind of does have like that soft effect. Like, I mean, I don't really have any like weird texture showing or anything like that, so I like when a foundation just goes on really smooth. I can blend it out very easily, and the best part about this is that because it's so runny, a little of it goes a long way. So I don't see myself running out of this foundation for a pretty long time. This actually reminds me of the NYX control drop foundation, if you guys remember that, in the consistency and kind of like the wateriness of it, but it's still being like a nice medium to full coverage that was also buildable. That was that foundation, and it's kind of like a foundation that came out a few years ago. This really reminds me of that, except this has a pump. So I think Lorac really hit it on the head with this. I saw some shades sold out on Ulta, so I think people are really actually liking this foundation. Of course, I will leave it linked down in the description box below to where you can get it, and if I can find it on Amazon for a few dollars cheaper, of course I'll have linked down in the description box below as well. Okay guys, so that pretty much wraps it up for this Foundation Friday video. If you guys are enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up, because I've actually been enjoying just trying out different foundations. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're not, and please hit that bell notification so you don't miss when I upload next, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.